Yeah, good evening. Today, as you've been told, the focus is on the polity, Indian polity. While we also have one question from the health sector, very sensational, relevant, and yes, we all should be knowing about it. Another, geopolitics. So, four questions from the polity, Indian polity, one from geopolitics, another from health. We'll start off with question number one, which is about lithium. See, we struck lithium in Jammu, also Rajasthan. We don't have too much of lithium as of now, so we also don't have the processing facility. So, what's this lithium? Lithium is called white gold. White gold. It's a metal that's important for smartphones, EV batteries, and renewable energy. When you generate, you should be able to store it in batteries. You can't use it as you have produced. You have to store it in batteries. And of course, you have some use for military technologies also. So, the future of international efforts for e-mobility, for renewable energy, and of course the ubiquitous smartphone depends upon lithium. It's one thing to have the a mineral, quite another to be able to process it, refine it, and make it fit for consumption for making batteries. There are so many aspects, multiple dimensions, so many aspects. What's geopolitics? Nations competing for power, that is geopolitics. Is the entire world a canvas? Yeah, why not? But when you talk of lithium, there are global aspects, there are regional aspects. So, what's lithium? You know why it is useful. And those countries that have lithium, for example, Australia, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, they have a lot of lithium with them. They're going to process it, make it beneficial for their economy, create jobs. They're going to be geopolitically important. Nations will vie for lithium from these countries. That's the first aspect of geopolitics, which is it's concentrated in very few countries. Australia and ABC, that is called the Atacama Desert. Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. This is the lithium triangle. So everyone is trying to tie up with them, influence the government, buy up the mines. China has already bought, Russia bought here, Bolivia. So these countries are going to be prosperous, they will have influence, and they'll have geopolitical importance. Countries are going to compete for the lithium resources. So it's in the backyard of America. America doesn't have too much of lithium, it's dependent. So America would try to step in here. China is already here. Russia is already here. So this is another part of geopolitics. Nations are competing for lithium. Still another part is, I have seen some stories on the TV where in uh, Bolivia, Chile, there are already agitations, environmental impact, social impact, because it takes a lot of water to extract and mine and extract it. Both the same, roughly. Lot of water. And where will these people go? So you got to denude the area of water. And this environmental struggle is going to be not just confined to one country, it's going to be around continentally and globally. That's another factor to consider while talking about geopolitics. And now you come to the all pervasive China. All pervasive China. China dominates the processing and refining market. 60% of it. World is dependent on China. China has its own burgeoning EV market. And they're going to set up their plants in Europe and America too, provided geopolitics agrees. And so the global dependence on China is another very crucial aspect of the geopolitics. Won't China use the dependence of other countries? Will China sell to begin with? And if it does sell, won't it impose conditions? Point number two. Won't it exploit the dependence of the countries on it for its own advantage? So China factor for processing, global competition, stability of supply chains. These are all the geopolitics of it. What about India? You know, India, we discovered in Jammu and Rajasthan. You know, extraction is difficult. Exploration, yeah. Exploitation, mining, very difficult, particularly in a democracy where people are very active. People can protest and stall the operation. So that's another point. Still another point, just in case we do overcome this, what about processing? I'm assuming everything will be hunky-dory. Today we are dependent on China, and China, any country depending on another country is not a very pleasant condition to be in. China will impose its own, manipulative techniques and all that. So the optimistic scenario, best case scenario, we got lithium, we can exploit it, process it, make it into battery grade lithium, and drive our EVs with that. Have so much that we can even export, which means our own geopolitical importance is going to grow with more and more of lithium found in our own country. I'm optimistic about it. But, it is a journey, an operation that could have bumps, but we'll overcome them because the world wants us to tap into our materials like lithium so that the domination of China goes down and we grow and foreign investors invest in India and they also grow with us. A lot of jobs and R&D and so on and so forth. You remember, energy security depends on this. You want to have renewable energy, you better have to decarbonize your economies. So for that you require batteries for which you require lithium. You want to have EVs? You've set some targets for 2030. For that to materialize, you need to have lots of lithium, battery grade lithium. And of course, smartphones and all. So this is the net story about the lithium and the geopolitics around it. Few countries have it number one. Competition number two. China factor number 3, environment number 4, and the position of India as it's going to get better and better. As of now, we are dependent, but that's only a short-term story. We have struck lithium. We're going to exploit that. We'll be self-sufficient. Our economy will boom and we'll be energy secure. And geopolitically, the situation will transform. I'm optimistic. So that's your first question about lithium. Now you please read this. You know, lithium critical, all that white gold I told you. And competition. Concentration is one aspect. China controls 60% of processing. The battery grade chemicals processing. And where is it? A, B, C. You want to remember simply? A, B, C. A for Argentina, B for Bolivia, C for Chile. And of course, Australia. Remember, we have a booming relation with Australia. We struck a ECTA, that is the trade agreement with them, free trade. More than that. Plus, that's another advantage that we have. So we are well placed. Yeah. Environment. Geopolitics of lithium batteries again takes you back to China. China, world's largest consumer and processor. The United States doesn't have its foreign dependent, and so it's also looking for sources. The backyard has so much of it. China comes all the way, the slap in the face of America. They're not going to like it. There could be another Monroe Doctrine, could be, but then China is not a pushover. So that's geopolitics. European Union, they're also dependent, but they're working to develop it. Chile has, Argentina has, Bolivia, I told you, ABC. This is B, A, C, ABC. And Geological Survey Nagaur in Rajasthan, and then you struck it in Jammu, you struck it, J&K. So our dreams are big and it's going to happen. India is a major customer, consumer. We're dependent on China. That will turn around. Refining, these are the challenges. Build up and then environmental impact and competition from other countries. We got lithium, but others are also having, there'll be a lot of competition to process and to leverage on that. So these are the multiple aspects of the geopolitics centered around lithium. Once you know about the geopolitics of lithium, you will know about semiconductors also. So this is the way to go about. I'm not saying lithium is going to land in the exam. I'm saying this is a textbook analysis of what is geopolitics and what are the dimensions of geopolitics. And I have not used any negative language. I have not been cynical. So you please notice that. So we move. This sentence is very important. Well positioned to benefit from the geopolitics because we got it, we'll process it, we'll grow up, and we'll be the country that will supply to so many other countries. Our prosperity will grow and converts to military, strategic value, leading country. All that depends on the lithium triangle. This is not for me. Though lithium comes, you have to write it. This is for preliminary. Lithium triangle. I'm expecting this question about lithium triangle. See, salt flats. You may ask you what are salt flats. I forgot to get the graphic. Means I thought you took it for granted you would know. Looks like salt. The white, super white material. Looks like salt. Lithium triangle. One more. Lithium triangle. Bigger one. So now this is the Anopheles mosquito. Why? This is why. The finest news I can share with you is that there is a malaria vaccine around. and hundreds of thousands of people, particularly sub-Saharan and other developing countries, including India, malaria because of lack of sanitation, lack of clean drinking water. We have these anopheles mosquito, they bite us and havoc blood cells and liver and whatnot. And plasmodium. 5 varieties of plasmodium. 4 of them human to human. One is zoonotic. You know it comes from an animal. What a tragic story. And all of us see how you develop your rationale. See, what's been the thinking about non-availability of vaccine for malaria? You had COVID-19 and bat and eyelid, there is a vaccine. Why? Developed countries and their economies were crashing. You better have a vaccine before the November 2020 presidential election. You have to have Pfizer, this, that. Whereas you don't have malaria in the developed world, so why will they show any interest in producing a vaccine against malaria? It's none of their business. It doesn't affect them at all. This is the kind of thinking very easy to adopt, in my view. But the difference between COVID-19 and malaria is that, COVID-19 is one virus. You could hit it and it goes away. While here you have a mosquito, you have 5 varieties of plasmodium, and they keep shifting. No 2 varieties of malaria may be alike. In this village, X malaria, there double X malaria. So, with all so much of variety of parasites also, there is so much of combination, and therefore you could not as easily as you did in the case of COVID-19 produce a vaccine to take care of malaria. Now you have done it. I don't want to mention, that is GlaxoSmithKline Beecham. They have done it, SmithKline, GlaxoSmithKline, GSK. Yeah. I don't want to mention corporate names here unless they are Indian. So you got one, WHO approved it, the GSK made it, and then you tried it in some African countries. Results okay. Now you are trying in more African countries. So what's the big deal here? What's the big deal here? Big deal is, so far mosquito nets you were using, chemicals you were using, preventive. You did control, but not to the satisfaction of people. People were petrified, dreading it, and it took so many lives. Children were particularly, affected. It was a very miserable story. Compounding malnutrition. You have this also, and it's a very tragic story. So the finest news is that you got a vaccine for malaria, number one. Equally fine, the news is that it helps people, poor people in developing countries, global south, survive. Point number two. Point number three is, this is an equally important point. Bharat Biotech, Secunderabad, they are going to make so many anti-malaria vaccines. Curate. Why? Demand is such. So I'm proud it's an Indian company. Similarly, Oxford is making or has made, it's not been tested. They have a vaccine against malaria, and that is going to be produced by our Pune Sriram Institute. So, two big companies in India. India is known globally as a vaccine maker. You may even call it the pharmacy. This, that. Vaccines is equal to India. Once again, COVID, you bailed out the world. Now you are going to do the same with Bharat Biotech, Secunderabad. Pune, the Serum Institute. So that again is a point of pride for us. And you've been looking at this mosquito, too bad, full of blood, yours and mine. See, you want to name this, you name this, why not? wealth creator, but I've removed the Smith-Kline, GlaxoSmithKline. I've removed. So many children, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, you could mention this, but I have not mentioned all the 12 African countries because I don't want to burden your memory for no reason. If you have to remember, if it's vital, you have to remember. But why remember for the sake of showing off? Nobody likes anyone showing off, for God's sake. Half a million children under 5 in Africa every year are getting killed because of this. And of course, plasmodium. I didn't get the photos of plasmodium. India is going to produce it. Another vaccine developed at Oxford University will be produced by Sriram Institute. I'm pretty kicked about it because we're all Indians. Difficulty, of course, why the question would be, why have you taken this long? Is it because we're all poor people, poor countries, and therefore nobody gave a damn? Is that the reason? Or is there some other reason? The most tempting reason would be this reason that, yeah, we are helpless people, nobody took care of us, there's never been a vaccine because the disease is a south disease. But that's a little too convenient. Maybe. Or maybe if the same virus and the same protozoan struck the developed world, they would have pulled it off like they did in the case of COVID-19. I would rather go scientific than ideological about it. It's up to you. Handful of parasites, malaria, and I've got multiple different mosquito species can transmit these parasites. That's another problem. So how many mosquitoes are you going to attack? So tomorrow in the prelim there will be a question, is it zoonotic? Only one variety is zoonotic. Others are anthropo, man to man, that's human to human. So this is the difficulty of producing a vaccine. We talked about it. And 4 are human to human. One is zoonotic and too many plasmodia here. And so it's a complex picture. Therefore, it took time. But ideological case for the delay is, if you ask me secretly, I'll say I believe that it's been neglected because we have no resources. Now, so that was about the malaria vaccine. In my view, there is as big as finding a vaccine for COVID-19. This is bigger because it affects us. COVID-19 is also, of course, big, but this is much bigger because the entire South is safe, global South. Africa, Latin America, Asia, this side of the equator. We are all helpless people, and so there is a vaccine for us, which is good. So those were the 2 topics related to geopolitics and malaria vaccine. The second one being superbly good for us. The first one, of course, we are, making it, getting there. Now the regular stuff about Indian politics. As, the examiner has to push you a little harder because how long will he ask you simple stuff? He has to ask you partly simple, partly not simple. So I thought I will, to an extent, do that in this question. Which is, what does the Finance Commission do? And what's green federalism and the role of the Finance Commission in green federalism? We all know 280, the president sets it up every 5 years or so now. And what does it do? Recommendatory. It's an advisory board. Recommendations. About what? Tax division. Remember one thing. The union government collects taxes. You have the 7th schedule in which you've got the union, you've got the states, You got the concurrent. So all these taxes I'm talking about, income tax, corporate tax, excise duties, basic customs duties, all those direct taxes, securities transaction tax, not the wealth tax doesn't exist, not the windfall tax because that is a special additional excise duty. Don't. If you by mistake give that example, and if the examiner is not in a mood to be generous, you could have 1 mark cut. So, mostly direct taxes, excise and customs are also there. So, they are all bunched up into a pool that is a divisible. Union government collects it for itself and for the states on behalf of the states because it's convenient administratively. And also rates are uniform. So now you got the pool. The first duty of the Finance Commission is advising the president, sir, you divide the resources. This is, as of now, it is 41. I think it's 41. This should be 59. I'm drawing it from the hand, so it could be 41, 59. And within this 49, these are all the states. So how much should the center take, how much should the states take, and how much should each of the states get? That's the deal here. About that, the recommendations of the Finance Commission to the Honorable President of India, that, sir, we are recommending tax distribution, division, whatever. Division between distribution among all. So division is this. Distribution is this. And what? Net proceeds. If you write the word net there, I'm sure you will get about 1.5 marks more. Because, see, the professor reads all the answers and in them he gets the distillate. That is, he gets the essence of it. And, some of the final students, they'll say net and all. So he expects net from everybody. If you say net, more marks. Don't say net, less marks. So what is net? From the gross, you sort of take away collection charges. How much does it cost you to collect? Collection charges. 2, you also take away cesses and surcharges. See, you're the IT department, you are the CBIC, you've collected 100 rupees. From that, took you a buck to collect all that, cut that out, 99. And the cesses and all that, that will be about 21, 22 rupees. Cut that out and you drop to about 76. From there, you cut out the refunds, which are one hell of a big amount. And so, this, cut this out. What are they? They are refunds. Cut this out, cesses. And cut this out, the cost collection charges, the cost of collection. This is up for division and distribution. So your first job is to tell the president how to divide and distribute. The second job is, a lot of states are still in need of money, and you tell the president, sir, you please give them grants in aid because they require, and the Constitution, Article 275, expects us to give to them if they are short after they got their share out of the devolution. You tell them. And the third one is you tell the president, sir, we need to, give some money to panchayats and nagarpalikas, not directly to the states. So how to augment the consolidated fund of the states so that they can devolve more to panchayats and nagarpalikas. That's after your 73, 74. And finally, any other matter refer to the Finance Commission by the President of India in the interest of sound finance. These are called terms of reference, terms of reference. So this is what the Finance Commission does. Constitutional mandate. Remember, I remember reading about climate change. It used to be called the greenhouse effect. In the late 80s, it's been building up 1992 Rio, 97 Kyoto, all this is going on. But our Finance Commission did not respond to the global debate. First time you see it respond, distinctively. You see the photos here. I'm sure you'll see the photos. This is the 13th Finance Commission, Mr. Vijay Kelkar, doctor. He said give some grants for, afforestation and so on. And then comes the 14th Finance Commission. He expands the mandate, not grants, you give them up. One of the criteria, apart from per capita, population, area, you also consider forests. Some states are keeping forests. Some states are growing forests. They could have easily given licenses to industries. They could cut the forests and keep the industries there, pollute the land, pollute the water, pollute the air, and make lives of people miserable. Be a cause for climate change. And so this is the area in which they got the forests. What's the opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is what you have got if you had given it to Tata and Birlas. So you had foregone that and you are actually, being climate conscious. So you need to compensate them and you need to encourage them, incentivize. The states that have land under forest, the more they have it, the more the part of devolution, please. It's not grant. It's a part of the tax pie that you are getting, the devolution. So that was why we ready and the 14th Finance Commission. This is 13th Finance Commission. 15th Finance Commission. So in the 15th Finance Commission, the job has been done even better. You know what is said? Forests and ecology. While the 14th said 7.5%, here you are saying 10%. You've gone one step ahead. And then the 15th Finance Commission also said that. It also said that, State Disaster Response Fund, National Disaster Response Fund. This is 100% center funded, and here you get about 75 from the center, 25 contribution by states. It's about disaster, state disaster response. You respond. But the 15th Commission has gone one step ahead. What did they say? They have talked about funding the states so that they can make efforts for disaster management in such a way that they'll prevent a disaster, prevent a drought. How? Conserve water. Prevent a landslide. How? By taking the necessary steps. So for prevention of the disaster, you are being funded. Disaster management, you're being funded. That's a recommendation. Kerala already does it. So they have recommended funds for prevention of disaster, the green disaster, climate change. And of course, they are already doing contribution to the response funds. And the money out of this tax pool you're getting for forests and ecology to a greater extent, which is wonderful. This is how, because who knows better about the land, water, the soil? Who knows better? Who knows better about the health of the people? Who knows about the risk proneness of the people? States know it. Center knows it, but states have a feel of it. States are living among people who are experiencing this day in and day out, precariously. So leave it to the states and give them money, monitor it, they'll do their part. So green federalism is where subnational governments are being empowered to make and execute laws for reversing climate change, be it forests or ecology or any other, sort of agriculture, water bodies, anything else. That's the green federalism part for you. This is what the Finance Commission, one article you mention, and if you care, 275 also you mention, you are the hero. 280, everyone mentions. 275 if you mention, one up. And then if you say 73, 74 here, Panchayat Raj, Nagarapalika, then you are there. Right? It. Any other matter referred, not related, referred. In the brackets, if you keep terms of reference, you are topping. Any other matter, refer to it by the President of India, capital letter, even better. President of India in the interest of sound finance. These are all technical terms. If you could say it as it is, better, even otherwise, equally good. So what have you done? 13, this is what you've done, grants. 14, this is what you've done. And 15th is, state capacity risk. They have made a disaster index, proneness index, according to that. I told you, the rate is 10 here, 7.5 here. And if you write this disaster proneness index, it's even better. So this is a green federalism. Please take a look at the explanation of what constitutes green federalism. Thirteenth, 14th, 15th. Classical. It's a quintessential toppers write-up. You write the way you like. And if you could say that, concurrent list, cooperative effort, water, land, etc., state list, and environment and climate change, they don't figure in the constitution at all. Land is there, a residuary part goes to the center, of course. That is your item number 97 union list. Environment doesn't figure as environment. Climate change, no, it doesn't figure in those two words. But what does? Forests are in the concurrent list. Water, land, health are in the state list. What do you have in the union list? Nothing that I can think of except that union parliament, union government, the residuary power goes there to them. And as a result of that, they have done so many laws, environment protection law, it's not. So these are the chairman. The 16th one is coming up. The reason why I picked on the Finance Commission is a question came in the preliminary. That's how, eminently federalism, public finance and all that, so he wrote an article about the 16th Finance Commission, the upcoming one, and its challenges. Challenges are up to you. Finance Commission, GST Council have to work together. That's a challenge. Financing for the reversal of climate change. That's a challenge. Decarbonized economy. Offhand, I can say these are the big challenges. Now, critically, I use the word critically examine. Ideal question for asking you to answer in a critical manner. Rights and duties. What are rights? Rights are possessed, enjoyed by individuals because they have to develop their personalities. They also have to develop their society. They are legally recognized and protected by the government. Their enshrined rights are legal, number one, individual, number two, they're contained in the Constitution, number three, some of them are given fundamental status, number four, and the government protects them, number five, with its executive and the judicial machinery. That's about the rights. Now, what are the duties? Duties are our obligations. Nobody is born with a duty. Duties are imposed on us. Duties are expected of us by the society and so by the state. Not only you and I have duties. The representative of the people of the country is the government, and so the government, the state also has same duties. So duties are external, number one. They are not inborn, number two. They are imposed, number three. They are a service to the society and the nation, number four. And yes, it is. I said, but I want to push it a little bit, extra. So, what are rights? Tell me a right which doesn't come coupled with a duty. Please tell me. Not right to life, because right to life can be taken away unless you discharge the duty of respecting the security of the country, respecting the lives of others, respecting the sovereignty of the country. The right to life is not absolute. It comes with the duty. Freedom of speech, of course, but while I'm free to speak, I can't spew hatred. I cannot, defame others. I have to respect others and their dignity. So freedom of speech comes with, and expression comes with, the duty to talk. To separate the two sides, no, that's foolish, futile, undesirable also. So rights, I could finally discover one right which is unaccompanied by duty. Not the right to life, I told you. Not the right to religion. Remember, I practice my religion, I've got the freedom. But in the practice of my religion, I cannot deny the same right to others, which is what I do when I convert them into my religion. I can't do. I have a duty to respect the right to religion of everyone else. That is necessarily a part of the exercise of my right to religion. They come together. Right to religion, right to life, freedom of speech and expression. Okay, I've got the right to protest, which is a part of my 1918. I've got the right to take out a demonstration procession. That's also a right to, association, assembly, all. But I can't destroy the property, number one. I can't ask you to shut down your shop, which is denying you the right to practice the business of your choice. No. So rights come with the duties. I've shown you right to life is not a standalone right. It's accompanied by duty. So every right. I was wondering if right to education comes accompanied with a duty. What duty does a kid have? He has a right to go to school. He goes to school. Can you tell me he's got a duty to study hard? You can't impose it on him. There are no legal impositions. What duty does he have? He has no duty. He is a child. That's because he is a child. He has to go to school, that's all. that he's got a right to go to school, right not to go to school, right to go to school, and no duty is attached to it. To the extent that, I have thought about it. Can you have duties without rights? Generally, it is said that, okay, I have the duty to pay tax. I have the duty. But don't I have the right to expect the government to keep the rates reasonable? Spend the resources collected from taxation on the people of the country for welfare, for development, for infrastructure, and so on. So I have a duty coupled with the right of expecting the government. Okay, I'm a soldier. My duty is to listen to orders of my superiors. If they tell me to shoot myself down, don't I have a duty to prevent that? Okay, I'm a soldier. I have to fight for the country. But at the same time, while it sounds like an organic duty minus any rights, I do expect my country to take care of me. Push comes to shove, I have to, sort of serve as a soldier. Maybe there's a point at which there are no rights but only duties. Maybe. You know, Parents take a lot of care of children. They're doing their biological duty. Do they have the right to expect the children to pay back? Payback means, return the love? Not at all. Not at all. I have no right to expect my children to love me back. If they do, I'm lucky. If they don't, so be it. So once again, the duty comes unattached with rights. So, but I'm talking in the political context, legal, constitutional context, where rights and duties invariably come together. Just imagine there are no rights and only duties. It is a totalitarian country where the duties are imposed arbitrarily. Unless I can criticize the government, unless I can make the imposition of duties reasonable, how can it not be called, an oppressive regime, a dictatorial regime? So duties without rights are oppressive, rights without duties are chaotic. So rights and duties have to come together. I can show you. Go back to the fundamental duties, Article 51A, Part 4A, 1976, Swaran Singh, 42nd Amendment Act. What's the last duty? Send your kids to school. Doesn't it connect with the right of the kid to go to school? 21A and 11 of 51A. They go together. Similarly, women have, equality. And we have a duty to respect the dignity of women. That is your 51A small, that's the fifth one, E. You can't do anything which is derogatory to the dignity of women. Why? Because in the Fundamental Rights chapter, you have given equality to women. Religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, that can't be the basis for. So duties and rights, they have a right to be respected, we have a duty to respect. So they come coupled. So that is how you argue about the intertwined nature of the rights and the duties. You can give examples to, critically examine is fine. Elucidate is also fine. Make it lucid. Of course, you can do it. You're all going for the main, so you've got all this on the back of your hand, and so I need not go on and on. So that's the duties, rights question. This is basically in the nature of triggering you to think, right? How to reason, what kind of examples you give, all that. So now you read. In your answer, facts are important, analysis is important. Without facts, if you analyze, you should be enormously lucky to make it. You'll make it. Baking is okay, bake ticket. So, facts and analysis both. The facts that the examiner is expecting. If you can present that, there is a convergence. And yeah, part 3 is fine, 1235 fine. Some to Indians, if by mistake, if you say fundamental rights are available to all people in the country or only available to citizens, then you are committing a mistake. Your 15, 16, 19, 29, 30 are for Indians only. And others are for everyone. Fundamental duties. Swaran saying this, that, all that I go. Full of facts. And then 86th Amendment Act 2002, all that. Intertwined, become meaningful. Please read it. I've told you all this. 21A, I gave you the example. 19, I gave you the example. 25, 28, right to religion, I gave you the example. Your right to religion doesn't mean you have the religion as you like it. In Article 25, government kept for itself the right to reform the religious practice according to public order, morality, and health, and also the fundamental rights which exist, in Part 3. So, yes, it's subject to correction for social welfare and all that. Because our history is replete with all sorts of distortions and shameful types of human relations, marginalization, exclusion, humiliation, all that. We need to correct that, and the government reserves for itself the right to do so under Article 25 and 26, all that. So, please read this. Oppressive. Only duties, no rights. You'll end up in the Soviet Union of Joseph Stalin. Throw some rations to the people, oppress them by imposing on duties, and no rights whatsoever. Duty, you have a duty not to defame. You may get into a debate what is defamation. Any criticism is defamation, sarcasm is defamation, dissent is defamation. Defamation is defamation. Generally, we should be tolerant. You say whatever you like about me. I may get a little angry, but I'm okay. But some people take it seriously. Similarly, with contempt of court, also. Some take it very seriously, and some people say, okay, talk what you like. What difference does it make? I'll do my duty according to the constitution and my conscience. So you can bark your way. But then some people are a little sensitive about it. My reputation is spoiled because in the public domain, you should not have anything related to the, private life of a person. What relevance does it have? His private life is his private life. He's a monarch there. He's not harming anyone. He's, doing what he does. Idiosyncratic, maybe, but then it's none of your business to get into that. You may have a thought about his private life. You can't make that public because the least levels of decency require that. You don't do it. That's about the least you can be expected. If you do that, then somebody will surely drag you to the court, and court will do whatever it does, because these are the days of social media and you can't take somebody's reputation for, so lightly. Here is a table. Individual entitlements. These are obligations, civic as a citizen. Responsibility and freedoms. Society and fellow citizens. They are converging, but they're different, distinctive. Individuals, interest and autonomy. Leave me alone. That's 21. privacy. Social harmony upholds the common good. Here also bits of common good. There's a bit of an overlap. These are rights. There's a bit of an overlap, or the overlap is even more actually. Social harmony is everywhere. You know, we it's inherent in us that we be respected. Without rights, how will you be respected? To develop your personality, to develop the society, to improve the environment, to add value to the economic relations, to strengthen the country. Innovation, what is it that's not there as a part of your rights? What is it that's not there as a part of your duties? Society imposes, etc. All this scientific temper. Without scientific temper, how far can you go in exercising your rights? Not very far. So that's the duties and rights. Now come back. Duties once again, rights once again. Duties of the Attorney General, rights of the Attorney General. See, two articles are there. So you've got the highest ranking law officer. He's a law officer along with solicitor, additional solicitor. So he is appointed by the president. He is eligible to be appointed as a Supreme Court judge. He should be. And the president sets his salary because he has got other income also, it's private practice. It's a presidential discretion to set the salary. And, he is there till the president is okay with it. Pleasure and all that. That's okay. What are his duties? Duty, the word used is duty. It comes twice there. Duty. What are his duties? So there is an Attorney General, there is the Government of India, and there is the President of India. Attorney General has to advise, he is the legal advice to the government on matters referred to him. President says, advise. You advise. President doesn't do it. An officer does it on behalf of the president according to the original order of the president. So there is the president referring matters to the AG on which he should advise the government of India. And the president may refer any matter to the duty of the AG also is that he should discharge his duty, that is, in matters related to, those with legal nature. Any matter of legal nature that is referred to him by the president, he has a duty to perform that. The exact language is here. Advise to the government of India such legal matters, perform such other legal duties as the president may from time to time be referred. So he has to be a legal advisor on matters the president asks him to advise on. He also has to perform such other duties of a legal nature. Perform such other duties of a legal character. For example, what? Article 143. A reference is being made to the Supreme Court. Draft the reference, and having had the reference accepted by the Supreme Court, go there in front of the 5-judge constitution bench and argue the case of the government. These are matters of legal nature. I'm not coming to another matter that will be spelled out separately. In other words, the first thing you have to notice is this. If you say Attorney General of India, the examiner, a legally slanted examiner, could object. 1 mark. Half a mark at least. Gone. Though he should not take away any mark from you, even if you say Attorney General of India. He should not. Why? Give me some time. So, you advise the government of India and also discharge your duties in relation to certain other matters of legal nature referred to you by the President. 1, 2. Why am I doubling down only on these 2 duties? Because the question is about duties to who? To the President. So far, so good. We talked of the duties. This is Article 76. Now, let's go into the rights. Article 88. Rights towards who? Parliament. Judiciary. He's got rights. What rights does he have? If you persist with the same article, you know what you are told? In the performance of his duties that we talked of, the 2, shall have right of audience in all courts in the territory of India, wherever. Yesterday I've read in the Hindu, or maybe today I've read in the Hindu, Nari courts, Nari adalats. Government is going to set them up, monsoon session. Nari adalat. What is adalat about it? I have no idea. It's a jury system. Even in that, if it happens to be legally set up as a court, the Attorney General has a right of audience wherever, whatever you call a court, he's got courts. Does it mean only judicial bodies, not quasi-judicial? Not too sure. Judicial is judicial. A non-judicial body performing quasi-judicial functions is quasi-judicial. That doesn't take away from the fact that the function the non-judicial body is performing is a judicial function. So he's got the right of audience in all the courts in the territory of India. That's a right. He can walk in and he's got the right to make a case. That means he'll be treated as an advocate, wherever, whatever court. He doesn't go to the district courts generally, but if he has to go, he'll go. He has got the right of audience. So that's the answer to your question about the rights towards the judiciary. Now let's see the parliament. We haven't come to 88 yet. We are still in 76. So you get into 88, what are you told? Attorney General has a right to take part in the proceedings of the parliament. Attend and take part. You can speak like any other member. He can speak. You know what else he can do? He can be a member of a parliamentary committee without voting. Even the parliament, he can take part, he can be there, take part, but can't vote. Voting, of course. Entitled to vote? No. Named members, not entitled to vote. No vote. Vote is only for members. You can't vote. I remember in a case in 93 or so, when T.N. Sessions said, all the government staff deputed to the election commission, I have the power of disciplinary nature over them. Then it threw up a debate and the Attorney General was requested to come to the Parliament and clarify to the members of the Parliament as to whether Session was right or wrong. He said no. Disciplinary power he can recommend, but only government has. So yes, because Article 88 allows him to come and take part, he took part and clarified. And so, these are the rights that he has towards the Supreme Court and the Parliament. That includes parliamentary committee. Now I told you why he should not take away your, I told you here, Attorney General for India. You go look up, all of you, please look up. Open up your India Code, Article 76, Attorney General for India. And people have made a huge issue out of it for India. What is for India? What is the significance of for India? Everyone else is not for India. Supreme Court of India, President of India, Parliament of India. How are you different that you should get for? It's okay. That's been the practice, so you got it, and no one is arguing. But don't say fur has huge significance here. It's rolling on, that's all. It has no significance beyond the fact that it exists. Why? Come here. Article 88. Go. You know, search for Article 88. And here in Article 88, there is of India. So it can't be for there, it can't be off there for the same person. It could be, but only in the case that for doesn't make any difference at all, except for the fact that habitually it's coming on. That's the only difference. So, Article 88 says, Attorney General of India, if the Honorable Professor says you missed out on form and you require a bit of penalty, technically that's not right. Because you scroll down to 88 and whatever case you made for 76 gets cancelled. So, we have to tread a little cautiously. After all, kids are going for the exam. They put in a lot of sweat and we need to be very, very sort of delicate in our approach. So, Vice President is conspicuous. So I thought, why not a very conventional, classical, least expected question about presidency came for 3 questions in the prelim. So president is overloaded in the prelim. So let's turn our attention to vice president. His role is primarily, you have to be very careful while wording your question. Primarily, after all, you see, Constitution says what? President, casual vacancy. Casual vacancy is out of term, premature. That is resignation, death, impeachment. And that's how there can be a vacancy. And then the Vice President of India is sworn in as the President of India. 6 months is the time that Election Commission of India gets to conduct an election. And they fill it up, and if the Vice President himself contests, makes it, he'll continue there. If he doesn't contest, he's not there. Doesn't make it, not there. So that's one thing he does, but that's not his regular duty. That's a contingency duty of his. Or take another case of the President of India unable to discharge her duties. Why? Out of town, marriage, birthday, not feeling too well, etc. And therefore, the President is unable to discharge duties, and therefore the Vice President officiates, that is, discharges the duty. There's no vacancy, she's unable. So you step in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, whatever, and you're not sworn in and stuff. So, but this is again a contingency, it is not normal. Normally, what is he? Vice President of India ex officio chairperson. Rajya Sabha. That's the job that keeps him tied down. That's his normal work in the ex officio capacity for Rajya Sabha as a chairman. All his work is that. If he has many others, this. This is not the norm. That's an exception. This is the norm. All that he does as the chairperson of Rajya Sabha. Now, what does he do? Number one, he is the presiding officer. He is the presiding officer. He has to ensure that the house maintains order. And he defends the dignity of the house. He protects the privileges of the house collectively, that is the dignity of the house, and individually the members, any privilege, any immunity broken, he'll restore that, etc. He does, presiding officer. Another that he does is, he ensures that anyone defying the rules and regulations for the conduct of Rajya Sabha, he will punish them. That's his regulatory role. You call that what? Stability. Order. You call that order? Order. What's the third thing that he does? Third is, he anti-defection law. Anti-defection law, anyone is a defector, alleged to be a defector, case comes to him, he will personally take it up, or he can delegate it to another member of the house. But the anti-defection law says that it's the chairman that does it. So yes, he has the power. He doesn't have a suo motu power, please. Somebody in Rajya Sabha is a defector. There's nothing else. He is a defector. But unless the case is brought to him for investigation, he doesn't have the power to take up the case on his own. Suo motu does. A member has to bring it to his notice. But still, he's the chairperson. According to the anti-defection law, it's his power to investigate and pronounce upon whether it's a case of defection or not, whether he should be disqualified or not. He does that. Fourth one he does, casting vote. Where there is a tie, he is a chairperson here, by swinging, by casting his, by exercising his casting vote, he can swing the balance either way, this way, that way. Without which decisions cannot be made when there is equality of votes. That is the fourth one. This is another duty that he has. Another duty. Constitutional role. 5 is, he is the chairperson of so many parliamentary committees, Rajya Sabha committees. Rules Committee, he is the one. General Purposes Committee, he is the one. So there are some committees which have traditionally had the chairperson as the Rajya Sabha chairperson as chairperson of committees. Some committee members he nominates. For example, departmentally related standing committees. Out of 24 committees, 8 committees, the members are nominated by the Rajya Sabha chairperson. So that is about the committees and casting vote and anti-defection, order in the house, point of order. Somebody is behaving in a wrong manner. Or there are only 250 or 245. Only 20 members are there in Rajya Sabha. Somebody says, sir, point of order. Any rule being broken, there's a point of order raised and a chairperson addresses that. That's not a major part. Presiding officer in the capacity of which he ensures that, the Rajya Sabha is run according to rules and regulations. Second one is order, whereby he ensures that there is no turmoil. If there is, then he'll postpone it for few minutes, hours, etc. So he ensures order. Third is anti-defection law, this and that. These are the 5 duties. The role of the Vice President of India, which is solely that of the chairperson of Rajya Sabha in normal times, consists of these dimensions. Now you acts as the president. Official functions. The only, he gets his salary as the chairperson of Rajya Sabha, which means all that he does in the capacity of the chairperson of Rajya Sabha. When he does the work of the president, he is not here. Deputy chairperson comes into, operation there, and the deputy chairperson will conduct. Deputy chairperson also is not there. One of the panel of vice chairman that the chairman nominate one after one after one. So he does this. This is what he does for his bread. Presiding officer. To ensure that the proceedings of the House conducted orderly manner. Order. He keeps saying order. Rules of procedure, maintaining decorum and decency. Maintaining order. Disciplinary action. It's a regulatory role that he has. And according to that, he can even expel a member. That's the regulatory power he has. That's not said anywhere. But the Supreme Court said he has the power. That's a part of his regulatory role. Casting vote. I talked about casting vote. Committees, we talked about it. I even mentioned, Rules Committee, General Purposes Committee. General Purposes. Which is not there in any other committee. That is referred to as General Purposes Committee. General, nothing technical. Anti-defection law. Points of order, it's okay. Point of order is what? Any time in the House proceedings, if there is a rule violated, one of the members can raise it, and in response to that, the presiding officer, that is the chairperson we are talking about, takes remedial action. You may even write here, adjourns the House. You know why he adjourns the House? Whenever peaceful proceedings are not possible, that is one reason. Another, God forbid, the member dies, you are silent for a while and you adjourn the proceedings at least till after lunch. Adjournment as a response to turmoil, disorder, turbulence. Adjournment as a response to someone dying. Adjournment because power broke down, sheer darkness, can't continue. Adjournment when it is not possible or not morally correct, the death case, you adjourn. Who does it? Presiding officer, which happens to be chairman. This line is very important, concluding line. He may be a member of a political party, generally he is, but he performs his duties rising above partisan consideration, impartial and neutral. That's very, very important. Neutral and non-partisan, very important. Here he is, our Vice President of India. Just took over last year about this time, July. He'll be there 4 years. Who knows? Maybe the president. So that would be our discussion of everything we have lined up. Now, so there is some element of probability here, some element of getting familiar with the pattern, some element of the structure of the answer. I've given extra information. Don't expect me to give only 200 words or 250 words. September is just 2 months away. So I just can't be, confined to the question only. I need to give you more information so that in some other form, if the question comes, you got enough ammunition to deal with whatever the demands. So that's the reason. Yeah, you just have to go through these answers back to Anopheles. Lithium triangle, lithium triangle, Pacific this side. Chile, A, B, C. And in the earlier photo, Atacama Desert. Prelim stuff, salt flats. Prelim stuff. This is all prelim, absolutely, prelim. So, that's the closure for the discussion. And we'll be here, we'll be here tomorrow. Another half a dozen questions. And that's it. Good night.